Yep, that's right. It's time for another forgotten gem of the past with the Boss Power Driver. Forgotten is right. That's right. This is the Boss PW-2 power driver. Do you remember this pedal? Because I didn't. I had, I'm really something of a Boss fanboy, and I had never heard of this pedal. I was doing doing what I do about 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, and I've got a $20 Guitar Center gift certificate, e-certificate thing that I got to burn. So I'm surfing their used website, their used pedals on their website, and I stumbled across this thing. This is called the PW-2 power driver, which I had never heard of. It was pretty inexpensive. It was, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 bucks or something like that. It was pretty inexpensive. So I went and did some research on it, and it turns out this is actually one of the rarest pedals that Boss has ever made. And I'm going to emphasize rare and reiterate the fact that rare does not necessarily mean valuable. This pedal was manufactured for less than a year, actually, between, I think, 1995 and 1996. This was kind of, as I understand it, kind of the precursor to the Extortion. If you remember that pedal, the Extortion was known as Boss's answer to the 90s grunge scene. Well, this is the one that apparently predated that pedal, because they discontinued this and eventually came out with the Extortion. And this thing is actually pretty unique. Let's let's have a quick look-see at it. When you look at it up close, the controls on it, I think, are probably what catch my eye the most. The controls on it are level and drive. Nothing too unusual there, but the 2 middle controls, the EQ controls, are fat and muscle, and basically it's a low and a mid. There's no high control on it, so no high or treble or anything like that. It's all lows and mids, and I think you could definitely tell in the playthrough demo that I just did with it. That was always one characteristic of guitar tone back in the 90s, back in like that grunge era, that I've always noticed. The treble and high frequencies, treble controls were generally turned down, and this is kind of designed to mimic that. As I was researching this thing, I'd already ordered it and it was on the way, so I was kind of committed either way. But I was researching it, and because I kind of wanted to get an opinion of what people thought of this thing, and try and figure out why it was such a short-lived pedal in Boss's product line. Opinions on this thing kind of seem to range a little bit. Some people seem to really like it. Some people seem to think it was the worst pedal they ever had. I can tell you, I will never say it's the worst pedal I've ever had, or anywhere close to it. I think it sounds, based on what you just heard and what I just heard, and that was the first time I'd actually plugged this thing in, I think it sounds pretty good. Matter of fact, I think it sounds really good, and can do quite a bit. Especially with the guitar that I was using, that Schecter CR6 is actually a really bright sounding guitar, and seems to counteract the lack of treble in this thing really, really well. But a lot of people seem to like it. A lot of people seem to not like it. One guy, I found one thread, one forum listing on this thing from like 2006. I don't even remember what website it was on, but somebody said that this is a cool pedal if you wanted to do the, quote, guitar plugged straight into a bass amp type thing, unquote. I kind of had to get a laugh out of that, because that exact description, that was written, and somebody left that comment in 2006, so 14 years ago. And now, that description is exactly what we would refer to today as doom. In other words, this is a really, really good sounding pedal for what is now doom music. And I notice a lot of similarities between the doom scene today and the old grunge scene from the 90s. So, if you're into doom music, it's not really my thing, though I am here lately slowly kind of gaining a little bit of an appreciation for it, more than I used to anyway. Some of it, not all of it. I think there's still a lot of it out there that is insanely terrible. But if you are into playing doom music and you're looking for a good distortion pedal, you might see if you can track down one of these. However, be prepared, they are likely very difficult to find. This is really the only one of these I can ever recall. I'd never heard of this pedal. And I love Boss pedals, and I am familiar with just about every Boss pedal that's ever been made. Not all of them, but most of them, but this is one that eluded me. So, I find this pedal to be very interesting. I think it actually sounds really good, at least through through my Randall into my oversized 212 cabinet, which is, by the way, is loaded with a pair of warehouse guitar speakers, Veteran 30s, which kind of got a good throaty, this cabinet's got a real good throaty tone to it. So I will say I think that this pedal a lot, whether or not it sounds good, is going to be very amp and speaker cabinet dependent. In other words, it's very possible you could run this thing into the wrong amp, and it's not going to sound great. Don't know. I'm merely guessing, and I suppose the same thing could be said for any pedal out there. But with this one, I would, you're going to want to find a good deep bassy, a good sounding amplifier with a lot of bottom end as a bass tone to run this thing into would be my suggestion. But bottom line, this is a cool find for me. I think it's a really, really good sounding pedal. I think it's got a really cool story behind it as far as the history of the pedal, the model itself goes, and it's going to make an excellent addition to my Boss pedal collection. I will post links to all of the gear used in this video down in the description below. I will also post various different ways that you can support this channel down in the description below, should you choose to do so. Your support of this channel, both through using those links and also through hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon, all that stuff really, really does go a long way towards supporting this channel, and it really means a lot to me. Last but not least, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. By the way, it feels like it has been forever since I have even sat down in this room, much less gotten to play anything in here.